Well, good afternoon. Welcome. I hope you are doing well. Okay, good. So, I'm pretty sure it's just going to be just me and you. We are still reading Genesis. And I've gotten to chapter 16. So we're picking up with chapter 17 of Genesis. Okay. Yahuah, thank you for allowing me and Danielle to see another day alive on earth. You have woke us up this morning to have another opportunity to grow our relationship with you, to learn more about you, to get deeper in your word, and to grow our spiritual wisdom and knowledge. And we are gathered here today to study your word, to hear your message, to spend time with you throughout our busy lives, to remember that put your will and your kingdom first. And I praise you for all of the blessings that you have given me in life, for all of the struggles and trials and tribulations that have built me and others into the people that you have created us to be. We want to continue to have joy in our suffering and in our trials and to move forward in life with you in mind and knowing that this is not our final destination. And this is why we spend our days and we keep our minds focused on you and your word. And we're here today to study that. So give us the knowledge and give us the discernment to understand what you are trying to relate to us today and to move forward through the rest of our day and the rest of our week with confidence and showing your image to the world. In Yahushua's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay. So, like I said, still in Genesis. We're going very slowly through Genesis. I am trying to figure out a faster way to get through Genesis. Um, But I guess it's okay to go slow, but I know that everybody is not able to always make it. So I want to be able to cover a good chunk every session, just so that we're moving to it through it. But right now I'm in Genesis chapter 17. There's 50 chapters in Genesis, so we're about a quarter of the way through it. Um, but I don't know what you remember or what from the last Bible study. But up until this point, we've already been through the story of Adam and Eve and what happened in the Garden of Eden. Um, we read the story of Cain and Abel and how Cain killed Abel because he was jealous. And then Adam and Eve had a third son, Seth. So we've been through that. We've also covered the story of Noah and what happened with Noah, how he built the ark. All of his sons, their wives, and his wife were on the ark, as well as two creatures of every kind of creation on the ark. Um, it rained, everything on the earth was destroyed, and now we're at the point where we're past the flood, the great flood, and the covenant that was made with Noah. So now we are on the story of Abram, and I'm trying to go back so I can kind of properly summarize it. So, Noah, the story of Noah, now we're talking about Abram, and I should really know this stuff off the top of my head.
No, not
But
everyone knows everything.
I'm trying to remember the connection. I know that Noah is, okay, yep, I remember now. So, Noah, it's Noah because everybody's dead. So now anybody that's alive on earth has now descended from Noah and his three sons and their wives. Okay, yeah. So Noah's sons were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So anybody that is alive on earth, we descend from one of those lines. We either descend from the line of Shem, Ham, and Japheth? Yeah. I think that Abram is about how many generations? From Shem to Abram. So Abram descends from the line of Shem. That's Noah's son. And I think it's seven generations or either 11. One of those two. So 11 generations later, it's basically been, let me just go through this. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old. So when Shem was 100, he became the father of Arphaxad. Arphaxad lived, no, Arphaxad, girl. Okay, when Shem was 100, he became the father of Arphaxad. Then Arphaxad was the father of Shelah. Shelah was the father of Eber. Eber was the father of Peleg. Peleg was the father of Ru. Ru was the father of Serug, and Serug was the father of Nahor, and Nahor was the father of Terah, and then Terah is the father of Abram. So that is Arphaxad, Shelah, Eber, Peleg, Ru, Serug, Terah. How many is that? That's like eight generations later we have Abram. So this is
Right.
from Noah to Abram. Yeah. And what I found out from being on TikTok and just being deep in like, because now I get like a lot of Bible content because I'm always just like watching stuff like or Christian content. Um, so apparently this is why I want to learn Hebrew and like learn it for real. When you get to sections of the Bible where they're just like listing off names, each one of those names in Hebrew has a meaning. Um, so it can get like really redundant if you're not trying to like dive deeper into it. So what I'm going to do is look up each person's name because this whole section, this is from Genesis chapter 11, and this is the whole section that like lists the generations from Noah to Abram, and it's just straight names. It just says um who was the father of who and how long they lived. And like sometimes when you read it, it just gets like, why is this in here? Okay. But
Hmm.
that's how we got to Abram. Um, and then Abram, the Lord appeared to Abram and basically told Abram, I want you to leave your country because I'm going
Right.
to bless you. I promise you a promised land. So this is where we're at. We're in the story of Abram after the Lord told him to leave his home country to travel to a new country that he was going to bless him with. Um, and so Abram left with his wife, Sarai, and then his nephew Lot and Lot's wife and all of their servants. So it's like a big group of people that are traveling. They ended up in Egypt, and then in Egypt is where Abram had to lie to Pharaoh about Sarai being his wife because Sarai was very beautiful. So if they would have known that she was his wife, they would have killed him. So he told Sarai to tell Pharaoh that she was his brother. Um, so Pharaoh was really nice to Abram because of that, and he like blessed him with a lot of servants, a lot of animals and land. But then because Sarai was in Pharaoh's house and she was another man's wife, the Lord was sending plagues to Pharaoh, and then Pharaoh was upset with Abram for lying. So Pharaoh, told he exiled Abram. Um, so then Abram had to leave Egypt with Sarai. After they left Egypt, him and Lot's servants and Abram's servants got into like some type of quarrel, some type of dispute, and they were arguing back and forth to the point where they couldn't live together. So Abram came up with a solution with Lot, and he told Lot, if you go to the land to the right, I'll take the land to the left. If you go to the land to the left, I'm gonna take the land to the right. So they decided to separate. Lot took his land, and Abram went the opposite way. But after Lot separated from Abram, he got captured by a whole bunch of kings it was like some type of war that was going on, and Lot was captured. So Abram had to go and rescue Lot with all of his servants. And that's where we are after the rescue. And then in chapter 15, God makes a covenant with Abram. And I'm just going to read that. So let me see. God's promise after this word, not be afraid of blah, blah, blah. And some said Abram failed to defeat the Lord. Okay, basically this is chapter 15, verse 13. Then the Lord said to him, know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and that they will be enslaved and mistreated there. But I will punish the nation they serve as slaves, and afterward they will come out with great possessions. You, however, will go to your ancestors in peace and be buried at a good old age. In the fourth generation, your descendants will come back here, for the sin of the Amorites has not yet reached its full measure. Um, okay, that wasn't the covenant that was made, but that was the prophecy that Yahuwah gave Abram about what was going to happen to his descendants. Um, but here we say, basically, Yahuwah told Abram that he's going to make him a great nation, that his descendants would be innumerable. If you could count the stars in the sky, that's how many descendants he had. So that was the covenant that Yahuwah made with Abram. And then after that, we read the story in chapter 16 of how Sarai had no children. Like she was barren, she couldn't have children. So she told Abram to basically have a child or be in relations with her servant. What's the servant's name? Hagar. Yep. But after Hagar got pregnant, Sarai got jealous. So how you gonna get mad? This is the funny part for me. How you gonna get mad when it was your idea in the first place? Anyway, so Hagar got pregnant and Sarai was jealous and Hagar ran off. And then an angel of the Lord appeared to Hagar while she was running away and basically told her that her son is going to be named Ishmael and that he will be a donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone and everyone's hand against him. And he will live in hostility towards all his brothers. He basically told her to go back to Sarai because he, Yahuwah needed Ishmael in the house of Abram. So yeah, that's what happened in chapter 16. I hope I didn't wasn't jumping all over the place. So now I don't know how much time I got left, but I'm finally going to read this chapter 17 because we have to cover something. I'm going to read chapter 17 and 18. But I think I can get through those in the next however many minutes. Okay. So here is Genesis chapter 17. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, I am God Almighty. Walk before me faithfully and be blameless. Then I will make a covenant between me and you and will greatly increase your numbers. Abram fell face down, and God said to him, As for me, this is my covenant with you. You will be the father of many nations. No longer will you be called Abram. Your name will be Abraham, for I have made you a father of many nations. I will make you very fruitful. I will make nations of you, and kings will come from you. I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant between me and you and your descendants after you for the generations to come, to be your God and the God of your descendants after you. The whole land of Canaan, where you now reside as a foreigner, I will give as an everlasting possession to you and your descendants after you, and I will be their God. Then God said to Abraham, As for you, you must keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you for your generations to come. This is my covenant with you and your descendants after you. The covenant you are to keep. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You are to undergo circumcision. You are to undergo circumcision, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and you. For the generations to come, every male among you who is 8 days old must be circumcised, including those born in your household or bought with money from a foreigner, those who are not your offspring. My covenant in your flesh is to be an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who has not yet been circumcised in the flesh will be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. God also said to Abram, As for Sarai, your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarai. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her, and I will surely give you a son by her. I will bless her so that she will be the mother of nations. Kings of peoples will come from her. Abraham fell face down and he laughed, and he said to himself, Will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? And Abraham said to God, If only Ishmael might live under your blessing. Then God said, yes, but your wife Sarah, because now her name is Sarah, your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will surely bless him. I will make him fruitful and will greatly increase his numbers. He will be the father of 12 rulers, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you by this time next year. When he had finished speaking with Abraham, God went up from him. On that very day, Abraham took his son Ishmael and all those born in his household or bought with his money, every male in his household, and circumcised them as God told him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and his son Ishmael was 13. Abraham and his son Ishmael were circumcised on that very day, and every male in Abraham's household, including those born in his household or bought from a foreigner, was circumcised with him. And that's chapter 17. Okay. Woo! That's a mouthful. So,
I have a question.
yes.
What, okay, what was so imperative about circumcision? Like, what does that represent?
Huh, that is a good question. I feel like I know the answer to that question, but I don't know how to word it because
Yeah.
it was like a cutting of the flesh and showing your covenant with Yahuah, but I'm not exactly sure why that was. Let's see. My study Bible has some stuff in the sometimes they answer questions like that in these little notes that they have down here. Let me see. Hmm. Five. Okay, what does it say? Twice before. Do. Okay, so here it says God was making a covenant or a contract between himself and Abraham. The terms were simple. Abraham would obey God and circumcise all the males in his household. God's part was to give Abraham heirs, property, power, and wealth. Most contracts or even trades. What? But when we become part of, okay, where? I'm looking for the answer. Let me see. Describe the person. Why? Oh, here we go. Okay. Why did God require circumcision? As a sign of obedience to him in all matters, and two, as a sign of belonging to his covenant people. Once circumcised, a man would be identified as one of God's chosen people, eventually called Jews forever. It as a symbol of cutting. Oh, okay, we got the answer. Okay. So, as a symbol of cutting off the old life of sin and purifying one's heart and dedicating oneself to God, and possibly as a health measure. Circumcision separated God's people from many of their pagan neighbors. In Abraham's day, this was essential to develop the pure worship of the one true God. So basically, this is saying that cutting off the extra foreskin of the penis was a symbol of cutting off the old life of sin and purifying your heart and showing your covenant and allegiance to Yahuwah. Um, and it's also, I do know that it has health benefits. So a lot of the things that Yahuwah required of his early people, like a lot of the laws that he laid out was also for their benefit for health wise, because having that extra flap of skin around the head of the penis did end up with people getting infected a lot. So that's also another reason. And then also a way, so a lot of what, ooh, my free meeting will end in 10 minutes. We got 10 minutes. So a lot of what, I don't want to upgrade. Okay. A lot. It keeps like telling me to do something else.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that I've learned that Yahuwah told people to do in the early days, as far as like all the laws in the Bible, it was to separate his people from the other people in the world. Because you got to remember, everybody else in the world was pagan. Everybody else worshipped multiple gods. They lived lawless, they lived dirty, they did whatever they wanted to do. And Yahuwah was choosing a specific set of people to set apart from the rest of the world. So a lot of the things that they did was to, or a lot of things he asked for them to do was to purify them to meet his standards, whatever Yahuwah's standards are. So I think circumcision is another example of separating, like it says, separating this group of people that Yahuwah chose to make a covenant with from the rest of the world, everybody else that's pagan and doing whatever they want to do. I don't know if that answered your question.
Sorry. Yeah, actually, it did. It did. I definitely understand now.
If that was a good question, I'm gonna highlight that. I
Yeah,
didn't.
I just thought about it once I was just listening to you read it.
Uh-huh.
It just made me think about it because I understand a lot of people get circumcised and those that don't, a lot more get circumcised than those that don't, but I just never really understood or knew like the meaning of
Yeah. I didn't know when I was younger that it was because it was in the Bible. Like I didn't know it originated from the Bible. I just thought honestly, I didn't even know dudes got circumcised. I thought everybody's stuff, looked like that. But it's
it.
but yeah, it's supposed to be like a sign of a covenant with Yahuwah. But I like the third reason that they're saying it's a symbol of cutting off the old life of sin, purifying one's heart and dedicating oneself to God. So, hmm. Okay, we learned something. Okay, I'm gonna read chapter 18. I got 7 minutes. I think I can get through it. Chapter 18. The Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great tree. I hate when I get tongue-tied. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre while he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day. Abraham looked up and saw three men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. He said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, my lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat so you can be refreshed, and then you can go your way, now that you have come to your servant." "Very well," they answered, "do as you say." So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. "Quick," he said, "get three seahs. I don't know how to pronounce this word. Get 3 seahs of the finest flour and knead it and bake some bread." Then he ran to the herd and selected a choice tender calf and gave it to his servant, who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared and set these before them. While they ate, he stood near them under the tree. "Where's your wife Sarah?" they asked him. "There in the tent," he said. Then one of them said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah your wife will have a son." Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already very old, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, "After I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why does Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I really have a child now that I am old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, "I did not laugh." But he said, "Yes, you did laugh." Okay, moving on. Let me see how long this is. All right, this is 18, verse 16. When the men got up to leave, they looked down toward Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring out Abraham what he has promised." Then the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great and their sin is so grievous that I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me, If not, I will know." Then the men turned away and went toward Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, "Will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of 50 righteous people in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous as the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right?" The Lord said, "If I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake." Then Abraham spoke up again. "Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes, what if the number of the righteous is less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city for lack of 5 people? If I find 45 there," he said, "I will not destroy it." Okay, we got like 3 minutes left. So I know this part. So basically, Abraham is pleading with the Lord because the Lord is going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And Abraham is like, "Well, if you find 50 people, if you find 40, if you find 30, like, will you still destroy it?" So he's going back and forth, and they finally get down, what is this? Chapter 18, verse 32. So then he said, "May the Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found there?" He answered, "For the sake of 10, I will not destroy it." When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. So, chapter 18, the first part of chapter 18, we hear about the three men. I don't really remember what the significance of these three. Okay, here we go. I'm reading the notes in my little thing. Abraham was eager to show hospitality to these three visitors, as was Lot. In Abraham's day, people's reputations were largely connected to their hospitality. The sharing of home and food, even strangers were to be treated as highly honored guests. Meeting another's need for shelter or food was still and is still the most immediate and practical way to obey God. It is a time-honored relationship builder. Hebrews 13:2 suggests that we, like Abraham, might actually entertain angels. Okay, so the three visitors, I think, are purported to be like angels of the Lord. And these angels of the Lord visited Abraham and to tell him basically that Sarah was going to have a son in a year. And Sarah laughed about it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so this is chapter 18. The angels of the Lord visit Abraham and Sarah, and Sarah laughs. I think it's funny that she tried to lie. It says she didn't laugh. And then the other half is the Lord telling Abraham that he's going to go and destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, and Abraham is trying to plead with the Lord to at least spare the righteous people in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I want to go more in depth into chapter 18 on the next Bible study because I had to like go fast. But what are your questions?
I don't have any more right now.
Okay. Well, I hope you learn, if anything, we learned about circumcision and, possibly why that is a thing that Yahuwah asked us to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're able to make it to the next one, we can go back over chapter 18. I won't be so rushed. Maybe I just need to pay so I can do a longer Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Well, I have to, because this is going to hang up and I hate when it hangs up. So I
Okay.
have to let you go. But if you want
Okay.
to text, you can text me.
Okay, for sure.
Okay, have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, you too.
Bye.
Bye.